Welcome to the Odds Fitness podcast. I'm Asad Hussain, the founder of Odds Fitness. We at Odds Fitness help individuals maximize their health span and also achieve their true fitness potential. With my formal education in exercise and sports sciences and also in lifestyle and wellness coaching, we bring to you the most data-driven insights from industry experts who specialize in the Asian and the Middle Eastern populations. These experts have significant experience considering our distinctly different variable factors such as genetics, phenotypes, cultural and environmental influences and habits. These factors contribute to the most common and consistent risk factors for lifestyle-related diseases and health and fitness challenges in South Asia and the Middle East. While there is a wealth of data and content available from the West, much of it becomes irrelevant when applied to our context, as the dynamics here are vastly different. So let us begin. Today we bring to you Eshanka from Dubai. She is a nutrition coach here. She has a huge plethora of clients varying from, Europeans, Indians, Middle Easterns, and today Eshanka is here with us to talk about the main lifestyle diseases and what her take on nutrition is when it comes to resolving these problems. Welcome to Odds Fitness Podcast, Eshanka.
Thank you so much, Asad.
Yeah.
And welcome to Dubai.
Yeah.
And I hope to see you in Dubai very, very often now.
Yeah, Odds Fitness is doing well here.
So I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got many clients who are very happy clients, I would say. It's very important for us to maintain that happy context always for them. And since the last 1 or 2 years, I've tried to analyze what are the different kinds of cultural, environmental factors here as in contrast to what I would see in Delhi or Mumbai. And, since you've been here about 10 years.
Yes, it's my 10th year going on right now. And I'm a Delhi girl.
Right, of course. So you should be able to tell us the contrasting differences.
Sure.
You've dealt with Europeans,
yes,
Indians, Middle Easterns. What would you say is the main problem when it comes to the Middle East and lifestyle diseases, etc.?
Yeah, I think there is a string that pulls both India and the Middle East, with together, which is obesity. Obesity is something that I have been seeing a lot with respect to people eating food out of emotional hunger.
Right.
It happens in India. We like to heighten a celebration in India with food. And it's the same in the Middle East as well. Arabs as well, whether, they love to heighten a celebration with food. And when it becomes, when they are emotional, sad, depressed, or, they stop following their hunger cues, again, there's emotional eating again. With respect to eating food and, being able to identify emotional hunger with physical hunger.
Right.
So obesity is one thing which is very common. It's a common denominator that I've been seeing all around this subcontinent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And would you say that, considering the fact that we've come very far when it comes to, let's say, evolution as a species in terms of cultivation, then processing, then receiving food, that process has become very fast, right? And you have food very readily available. And
people are not, basically what you're trying to say, people are not working towards making their food.
Exactly, because, that's very recent. And our genes have not caught up to food being readily available at all times.
Yeah.
And
that's such an interesting point that you actually say, which is so similar to something I always tell my clients is to always make your own food.
Right.
Go buy your groceries, then cut your own food and make your own food. If you actually do this entire process, your hunger really decreases.
Right.
The more time you spend with food, your hunger keeps decreasing scientifically.
Interesting.
Yeah. As opposed to if you just go and you're very hungry and you just order for food and the food comes in front of you, you'll always eat more. Right. And if you make that entire food by going and buying the groceries, cutting it, chopping it, cooking it, and then eating it, you'll eat at least half of it.
What would you say for someone who doesn't have the time to cook, maybe?
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, that is a very big problem, but I'm just talking as a general rule of thumb.
Do you have a hack around that?
I have a lot of hacks around like eating clean. I have a lot of them. But starting with at least being able to plan your meals, you can do a weekly plan with respect to that, where when you're not cooking daily, but you're at least doing your grocery shopping.
Right.
You're at least cooking on the weekends together as a family. Even these things make a very big impact to your overall health, your mental health, and your physical health.
100%.
It's all your serotonin, your endorphins, your oxytocin that is being created with just family time together, or cooking with your loved one. These really they decrease your cortisol levels, which increases your high cortisol level, obviously creates major issues with respect to your weight loss journey.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So let's say obesity is at the cusp of everything.
Yeah.
What diseases do you see stemming out of that over here?
So basically, what I've noticed is, of course, through obesity comes a lot of diseases, one of them being diabetes.
Right.
Diabetes in India, as you must know, is 11% or even higher.
Right.
1 out of 10, 1 out of 8 people are definitely diagnosed with diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2.
Right.
Both, what I definitely think, when you're pre-diabetic, you can reverse it, even though it is part of your family history. Even if it, a lot of people say that I have diabetes because my father or grandfather has diabetes. It is reversible if you're pre-diabetic.
Right.
Because it's not usually that it's in your bloodstream, but it is in your family's, your habits, in their habits, in their lifestyle, what they eat. They eat fried food, they eat sugary foods. So it's just passed on, and of course, then you will be more prone to getting the disease as well.
Right.
But if you tell yourself that you want to change that, you want to reverse that lifestyle, you can reverse the disease as well, which is what I help people when they come to me in a pre-diabetic state.
Right.
Once you've reached medication, something, then I want to stay out of it. I can help them, of course, because all my foods, the food even I eat, is something that a person with diabetes can eat.
Right.
Because I do not eat foods or I do not recommend foods which are high on glycemic index.
Right.
Once it goes even medium level, 50, 60 above, I tell them to, those are foods I stay away from. Or there are food combinations that I create, so your glycemic index goes down.
Right. So from where we come from, when we do any sort of intervention with anybody who's obese or diabetic or has any risk factor associated with lifestyle diseases, we usually recommend keeping blood glucose in the right range.
Correct.
Because blood glucose is so tightly regulated.
Yeah.
If it is 6, even 1 gram above at any given point in your bloodstream, it's toxic. If it is too low, it's lethal.
Yeah.
Right. And what we don't want to do is have it going up and down, your pancreas, overproducing insulin in order to shuttle those glucose molecules into your cells, because at some point they would be saturated. So there's this one technique we have at Odds where we, and it's been very well researched, studied, where strength training, and there's 2 ways where strength training or any kind of resistance training can help somebody with diabetes.
Right.
How it works is essentially when you have muscular contractions, right, you do get your GLUT4 receptors on the surface of cells. These are the receptors which are most responsible for allowing the glucose to be shuttled into the cell.
Okay.
And that's just at a cellular level. Let's say at a systemic level, when you have more muscle as an organ, right, you have multiple more stores for glycogen. So essentially, if there's an individual who has, let's say, just putting things into context, more storage space, or let's say a 500-liter tank as compared to a 400 or a 300-liter tank, you can just get away with eating more because it would be stored as glycogen, because the body knows, of course, it's going to get utilized at some point later.
Correct.
Yeah. So strength training is something.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's going to benefit anybody who has any kind of metabolic disorders, because a lot of problems are stemmed from, as you said, being insulin resistant, obesity,
gut health,
of course. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm also assuming that if you eat more or less in the right sort of, let's say, glycemic index range, you would tend to lean towards healthier foods, which would ensure that you have better gut health.
Whole foods,
One way or another, because you would give ample amount of prebiotics.
Correct.
and
probiotics, foods rich in antioxidants, nutrient-dense foods, foods that nourish your body.
Right.
Literally. There's which I don't understand when people say that, when they get so hell-bent about calorie intake, just calories all the time.
Yeah.
Even a chocolate bar has, say, calories which I can take from an avocado. But what is better? Are you eating an avocado or are you eating a piece of chocolate? They have the same amount of calories. But what will nourish your body? Which is exactly the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist or a nutrition coach.
Yes, just to stress upon that, could you just tell our audience the difference between a dietitian and a nutrition coach?
Okay.
Nutritionist
/ nutrition coach. Right. So a dietitian, okay, and I hope I don't offend too many people because there are so many dietitians out there.
No, of course, everybody has their function.
Exactly, and I'm sure it works for a lot of people. But if you come to me and if you just ask me whether you should go to a dietitian or a nutrition coach or nutritionist, I would definitely say to go to someone who's talking more about nutrition. Yeah. A dietitian will give you a diet. They're very hell-bent with respect to calories. I have seen dietitians who say that you can eat McDonald's burger every day and, they give you foods which are not nourishing for the body, but they'll make you lose weight for sure. Right. But will you look younger? Will your hair look better? Will your skin look better? Will you feel more energized? Will you be sleeping better? I don't know. Right. Will you be looking more haggard? Probably. Right. With respect to calorie in, calorie out, and they're doing their thing. Their math is in place, but they're not nourishing your body. Right. It's a short. I just feel within a dietitian will always have repeat clients. Always. You'll do a 3-month program with them. 1 year later, 6 months later, you'll come back to the dietitian because it's worked for you. But as soon as you left the dietitian, it did not work for you because you went to a normal lifestyle, right? With a nutritionist or a nutrition coach, they will actually spend that time to understand your body, to be able to understand what your bio-individuality is, give your body what it really needs, nourish your body. You may not lose extreme weight probably, and you may too, because it may work for you immediately. But your body will be nourished, your cells will be nourished, your hair, your skin, your energy levels will be much higher, your nails will grow faster. So these are the things that you will see, and the weight loss will just be a byproduct.
That's something that we also very adamantly focus on, unless somebody says otherwise that, we don't want any kind of health benefits, because odds is essentially health integrated with fitness.
Yeah.
And we try and figure out the root cause why you have that obesity or weight gain problem to begin with.
Right.
And I think what you're trying to say is that if you somehow give the right sort of nutrition to your body, you have better machinery which would allow you to get into better shape and look better overall. Exactly. And not just
short-term fix.
Right.
And that's when I tell my clients, I say, yeah, you do my 12-week program, but I don't want to see you after that, because it's a lifestyle. Maintain that lifestyle forever then, unless you need to really revisit me after a few years.
Right.
But I hate repeat clients because once I've taught you what, how you should be eating, food synergies, how to nourish your body, what foods are good for you, what is the proportion that you should be eating it in, which food family you should eat in which kind of proportion, then you're on your own. Then you don't need me to give you a diet plan on a weekly basis. I don't do that.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone should do that. You should have the freedom to understand foods that nourish you, understand that what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what to eliminate in your life, and then go with it. Go with your gut.
Right.
The more you listen to your gut, the louder it gets.
You're teaching them how to fish instead of just serving them
the fish. Right? Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Makes sense. Amazing. Yeah. What are your top interventions for somebody with diabetes?
With respect to nutrition.
Or I would let me put it better. What would you do for somebody who's insulin resistant and, let's say in popular context, pre-diabetic,
right,
or early stage diabetes?
Diabetic, yeah. I mean, there are so many things which start with nutrition. I definitely tell them, I send them to you for sure. Like, your area of expertise is something which is very important for someone who's pre-diabetic for them to, work out. One thing I strongly believe in for people with even infertility or diabetes is I'd make them do a lot of ab activation. Ab activation is a term that I have created, actually. It's a term that I've created for all my clients, and it works as a blanket rule for everyone, because especially for women, because in our abdominal, we have all the important organs, from our uterus to our gut, everything. On an empty stomach, I tell them to activate their gut, which is basically so that you don't get fat on your organs, And that really helps with respect to your insulin levels, your fertility. That's very, very healthy for that. There are some drinks that I give them, on an empty stomach that they should be having. Their food that, that they take through the day so that they're not spiking their insulin levels. So these are the, some of the things that I do with my clients which have pre-diabetes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so touching upon that, you said obesity, which would also give rise to diabetes. What about infertility? Yeah, what would be the risk factors associated with infertility? Could you tell somebody who is not obese, would they also have something like that? Or is there a correlation?
There is a major correlation, but of course, someone who's really fit, I'm sure even you deal with that, a person who's perfectly, within their BMI, they could have a heart stroke and die, know. And similarly, God forbid, like someone who's very healthy could have, fertility issues.
Right.
But on an average, someone who is overweight will have lesser, will have higher chances of having PCOD in women. And with respect to men also, there's whether it's their semen count, whether it's their infertility levels as well, it has a lot to do with obesity. And, because your body's just not performing the way it's supposed to, as per their BMI. Very strongly and very closely connected, where you will see people who are obese, they are having infertility issues.
Right.
So that's something that I also tackle, and a lot of my clients do have that, whether it's about conceiving or natural birthing or just the entire pregnancy journey. That entire journey is something that I really focus on as well.
Right.
I focused on it with myself. I focus on it with my clients as well.
Right. I will touch upon that topic again, about how your journey was so seamless and how Dubai medical system and hospitals
were amazing.
Right.
And so supportive with respect to my mindset. That is something which is so important. Both my pregnancies, thanks to God, have been seamless. Actually, I can say it now because it's done. And I think it started with, I will have to give credit to eating clean and my lifestyle, and no sugar, no alcohol, no smoking. Those kind of toxins were never in my body for like many years before I even tried to conceive. Naturally, when I tried to conceive, it happened in its first go, and pregnancies were very smooth. Deliveries were very smooth. Both were natural deliveries without any epidural, without any medication. During my pregnancies and, while I was in the process of, delivering my children, both my kids. And I strongly believe in that, because I just feel a lot of doctors in India, I would hate to say, try to give you a lot of medication during your pregnancy. And then when you are delivering the baby, they go in for emergency C-section. It's not supposed to be like that. A woman is supposed to birth naturally. Our bodies are designed to birth naturally without epidural also.
Would you say it could also be because we live such unnatural lives? Doctors might need to interfere at some point, because let's say somebody is obese and, actually many people would be obese, and, they're surrounded by people who have the problem of excesses.
Which is what I find very weird when you say this, that when people get pregnant, I hear in India, they put on 20 kgs, 25 kgs. And I'm like, what are you doing? 3 kilo ka bacha nikal raha hai, 3 kg baby is coming out of you. I mean, the healthy range is 8 to 12 kgs. Both my pregnancies, I put on 8 kgs. And, and that's how it's supposed to be. There's just the fluid and the baby. You're not supposed to put on like everywhere in your body. You're just supposed to have a tummy, and you're supposed to eat for one.
Right.
This whole process, this whole thing about eating for 2 people, then they get pre-diabetic, then,
of course. And then if you're diabetic during your pregnancy, there's a high chance you would end up being
in a C-section. So it's all so intertwined, it all starts from your food, nutrition, your lifestyle, it ends there.
Right.
It all, and then starting off with, and if you want to speak about and then in Dubai, I just felt that there was a lot of support with respect to hypnobirthing, with respect to your doctor's understanding that you want to do a water birth, your doctor's understanding that you don't want to take epidural and you want to have a natural birth. And whereas I see that not happening, because when I just compare statistics, with respect to even the people I know, everyone's had an emergency C-section. How is it possible that everyone in India has had an emergency C-section?
Right, because my aunt lives in the Netherlands and she says that, it's mandatory, or the government tells you to have natural birth in water, and if not that, then there would be any kind of intervention.
Right.
Could you also tell our audience what hypnobirthing is?
Yeah, sure. So I highly recommend getting a doula who knows how to do hypnobirthing.
Right.
It's now prevalent even in India, and it's everywhere in Dubai. Hypnobirthing is actually a technique of breathing. Literally, they teach you how to breathe through your entire, when you start going into labor, when you're having contractions, how to breathe and how to literally breathe out your baby.
Right.
So you don't need the intervention of such strong medications such as painkillers, such as the epidural. You don't need it. You are so focused. For 9 months, they're training you how to breathe. Even, they even train you how to go to the toilet. Those 9 months, they tell you how to go to when you're going to the toilet.
How would that be?
When you're literally, releasing your bowel, when you're having a bowel movement, they tell you how to breathe it out with no pressure, zero pressure. And that's exactly how they teach you how to birth the baby as well.
Would it also include some pelvic floor exercises where not to be, let's say, stronger, or maybe be just being more conscious about your contractions?
More conscious, definitely. They give you a lot of exercises for to get more conscious, how to contract, how to use your pelvis, how to open it up. All these things are very, very important when you're doing hypnobirthing. When you're literally when you start having your contractions and you start focusing on your breathing, it releases basically hormones into your body which allow you to just open up so naturally and birth seamlessly.
Right.
And in fact, my second time when I was having my second baby, my doctor didn't even make it. I literally reached the hospital. My midwife, I just said, I reached, and 3 minutes later I had my child, because my doctor didn't even come upstairs. She was running to come upstairs. By then I'd had my baby, because I just I was so I had learned it so well by then.
Amazing.
And I could just breathe my baby out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So from what I can interpret from this, I could be wrong though, I'm just assuming, maybe you can add a little bit,
Yes.
is that when you have these breathing practices, you're being very conscious about the way you're breathing. You're also regulating your nervous system.
Yes,
Right.
totally.
And when you're doing that, you're more calm, and maybe you can focus on delivering the baby.
Yeah.
Be more mindful, of course.
And by focusing on your nervous system, you naturally produce natural painkillers in your body.
Yeah, of course.
So
you would also have fewer catecholamines if you're relaxed,
Exactly.
since you don't go into that fight mode.
yeah.
You know what's coming.
Yeah, where you need to push, this whole concept of pushing and screaming and shouting. In fact, that's the last thing that you should be doing is screaming and shouting, because you're releasing oxygen. At that time, you need to intake oxygen. You're supposed to breathe in, not breathe out. When you're screaming, you're breathing out. You know?
And that would probably put you in a sense of hyper alertness, so to speak.
And which goes into an emergency C-sec where, the heart rate goes up. Obviously, you're not breathing, your heart rate will go up. Your oxygen is not reaching the body.
Right.
Then the heart rate of the child goes up. And once the heart rate of the child goes up and the doctor says that it's an emergency, then it is an emergency.
Right.
Then no one can say anything. Then you have to go in for an emergency C-sec.
So the breathing element of it, and of course, being very mindful about or being aware of your pelvic floor muscles.
And creating, and that's why even working out when you're pregnant is very important, because you need that stamina.
Right.
Because when you're having contractions, the amount of stamina you need, you know, to be able to just, be able to withhold that time, and to be able to just pass that time. A lot of people can't, they don't have the stamina to endure that pain.
Right.
And when you don't have that stamina, then you just say, give me the epidural, cut me up, do what you want, just get me out of this pain. Because it's not natural, that kind of pain, when no one's had it. It's for a man, it's I think about when they did some sort of analysis, it's 6 rib cages,
Wow.
being broken together. It's that kind of pain. But again, when you breathe through it, it is the most natural form. Animals do it, cats do it, dogs do it. Everyone does it without any intervention. Why can't humans?
Exercise does build resilience, and you have increased pain threshold, which would obviously, it would be a no-brainer, because you're running through a certain intense activity.
Mind over body at that time.
Right.
It's totally mind over body.
So what you're saying makes a lot of sense that way. I think this is a very interesting concept. We have a lot of pre-post-natal experts
Yes.
At Odds Fitness, of course.
Lovely.
And just in case if you see any synergies with your clients or our clients, vice versa, I would love to send them over to you.
Yeah, I coach a lot of them. In fact, prenatal and postnatal has, after my journey, has become so big because, I've spoken about it on my social media, and people, a lot of clients, not even for just, weight loss, just to be in the right frame of mind, have come to me. And it all starts with eating clean and your workouts.
What would you say about breastfeeding?
Oh, a lot. I highly support it. I highly recommend it for mother and child, for both. Become selfish also. Even if it's for yourself, it is very good for a mother to be breastfeeding. With respect to mental health. That, as soon as the child is born, as soon as the child is born, suddenly the importance is shifted. For 9 months, the importance has been on the mother. That, focus is all mother. Are you feeling all right? Are you not feeling? The minute you deliver your child, the focus shifts to the child. It becomes, is the child okay? Everyone forgets about the mother, know. In that zone, to have another irreplaceable, factor that plays in is breastfeeding.
Right.
No one can, supplement that. No one can basically breastfeed your child except for you. You need to regain that sort of connection with your child for your mental health. Second, it's so healthy for the child. It's like the gut bacteria of the child, the immunity. 70% of our immunity is in our gut health, right? If you're giving your child your breast milk, the immunity increases by 700%.
Right.
And so very good for the child to at least be breastfed for 6 months, if not more, if you're not being able to do it more.
And of course, your antibodies would
be passed on. It's literally medicinal. It's all antibodies. It's all antibodies that is being passed on. In fact, and try it. And I mean, if you get a burn, a scratch or something, if you try to put breast milk on that, you see how it heals. No ointment can heal it better than that.
Right.
Yeah. So it heals like, even an adult.
Amazing.
So yeah, highly recommend that for all mothers. Please take out that time, those 6 months. I know it's a lot. It's a lot of work, honestly, to produce that sort of supply. And especially if you're breastfeeding exclusively, the way I did, it's a lot of work. But I think that's an effort that you should put in for your child and for yourself.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. I think maternal instincts would kick in, and most mothers would
want to. But of course, the supply is challenging. A lot of people do, have a lot of struggle with supply. Back in the day, people would give you sugary foods and everything. I don't recommend it at all. Again, I have an entire lifestyle, like, a plan for mothers who want to feed and are not creating that kind of supply. I love to coach those people and tell them how to increase their supply.
Right.
Asad, I want to ask you a question. All my life, I've noticed one thing with myself and with my clients is that what used to work for me to lose weight does not work for me, after a few years or 1 or 2 years. Like all my life, I've done yoga and Pilates, and it's worked beautifully for me. This time, after having 2 kids, I was trying to lose my 5-6 kgs, and nothing worked. Like for months, I was trying Pilates and yoga, and it didn't work. I was eating clean for sure, but that it wasn't working the way it used to work for me. Then I just experimented and I started lifting. And now I'm like very comfortably lifting very well. And I've been lifting and it has worked wonders. I don't know what has happened. I don't know the science behind it, but I would love to know from you.
Right. So since you're talking about yoga and Pilates, they're both great forms of exercise, or in fact for yoga, I would say that it's great for mental health, to be honest. Builds a lot of patience, resilience, being in those asanas for a while, being very, very present in that moment, right? And also the breathing practices, etc. When it comes to Pilates, I would assume that, I'm no Pilates expert, but it's a lot of body weight that you're using to generate that resistance through pulleys. Of course, the direction changes, a lot of things happen. But a very, very essential component of exercising is progressive overload. And let's say while doing Pilates, you lose weight, right? What are you adding that additional amount of force through mechanical weight or something to be able to create as much work, right? Or do as much work as you did earlier? And to be honest, it's much easier to increase the work done in strength training or resistance training when you go to a gym with dumbbells and plates, etc., and a barbell and machines, because you just have to flip and put on maybe some weight on the stack. It's easy to track, etc. So your net total work done, and that's how the formula goes is, work done is force into distance.
Yeah.
What amount of force are you, moving through what kind of distance? And when you speak about something like that, that directly correlates to how much energy you're burning, right? Because the energy that you're going to burn is going to be directly in sync with the work that you've sort of created, what sort of work you've done. And that's my conclusions to what you're saying. But another very, very significant contributor would be that, we've been eating a lot more out, and food has become so convenient in the last few years that, you have one phone call and food is there, and that process has only become more efficient. Deliveries have become shorter, food has almost become cheaper when you're ordering from it. There's price wars, etc. So, the whole culture of eating out has gone up significantly, right? And, even the culture of celebrating life has gone up significantly. So you have many more social gatherings or celebrations. I would not say is the same for somebody in Europe or America, but it's something very, very present locally here. When I see Dubai or when I see India, you have a lot of celebration and a lot of socializing, which I think would be one of the key reasons. And these two things together would, I think, would mean something where, let's say you did Pilates earlier and it worked for you because you weren't a trained individual, but after a while, your body adapts.
Correct.
There's a certain amount of adaptation that takes place. And then to overcome that threshold of, let's say, work which is easier for you and your body has become more efficient at, let's say, burning calories and putting out that work, you need more work.
Correct.
Because you become fitter. Your VO2 has gone up. You're utilizing oxygen more efficiently. I think you just need a higher stressor for adaptation.
But I feel it's also, I've been seeing it also as a trend going around now, that lifting, I think after in your 30s, it's something that you recommend. Is that what you, what is the recommendation?
I think you should be lifting or stay active with some sort of resistance training throughout your life.
I used to always think that, it'll make me bulky or my cortisol levels will go high or something like that. But I'm like seeing very different results this time.
So when you talk about cortisol, you do want an acute amount of stress, that's what you're trying to create. And that allows your body to adapt. Right. Let's say if you did a workout and there's no stress, right? You might not have stimulated enough processes for your body to remodel and adapt. But let's say you create an acute amount of stress and you give adequate recovery and nutrition, your body will adapt and it will heal and it will get better because it knows that, okay, this is coming up. I would attribute a lot of it to the fact that as you age, you have a significant amount of, cumulative overload because there's aging. It's something that you cannot stop.
Exactly.
Right? And if
you can slow it down.
You can
slow it down. The physical appearance of it.
Yeah. You can significantly slow it down.
Yeah.
But recently I was watching this podcast from Andrew Huberman with Dr. Peter Attia, and it makes a lot of sense. You can't stop your chronological age. Of course, if there's somebody who's 50, looks 30, or even 20 for that matter, that person's not going to outlive that person who's 20,
obviously,
most likely.
100%.
So, yes, you can definitely...
the appearance of it can slow down. Collagen building, which is something that, again, with nutrition and workout.
You can definitely optimize it and slow it at whatever best possible case you can.
Without the use of fillers and without the use of...
In fact, I would say that a lot of those things are toxic to your body.
They are toxins, of course.
Right.
It's all silicone.
Botox is a toxin.
Of course it is,
It is
a toxin. It is a toxin that you're putting into your body. Filler is the toxin that you're putting into your body.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you just follow a low GI diet, that on its own should be able to make you look very useful.
And keep doing your blood work and supplement whatever nutrition deficiencies you have with supplements.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course. But if you have a great nutrition plan, I think you should be good.
Just there are some nutrients that are not easily available or easily absorbed in our body, such as vitamin D. It's something that you need to supplement.
Interestingly, if you have enough egg yolks and you're not
in Indians and this Middle Eastern region, vitamin D deficiency is prevalent in 96% of the people.
Right.
So it is something. I'm sure those 4% like you may be having a lot of yolks and dealing with your vitamin
things
D.
Can help.
Yeah.
But then let's say there's always that argument that, okay, what about my cardiovascular health?
Exactly. There's so many things. So I don't think it's a big deal to supplement your thing with a vitamin.
Which is very individualized.
Yeah.
And whatever your risk factors would be, you need to keep those in mind. And obviously you can't experiment at this stage until you have very, very conclusive evidence. We're trying to do our best here to have all the best people put their brains together to have the best knowledge, etc.
Yeah. At Odds Fitness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Odds Fitness. And that's why we speak to experts such as yourself and many others that we, try and consolidate all the data that we can, which is individualized at best to these specific regions, right? Because you would know what's happening hands-on over here.
Correct.
When it comes to nutrition or, like you said, celebration, I would not expect an American doctor to, know what somebody from the Middle East is going through.
Correct.
I would obviously come to you to understand, okay, you've been through these blood reports, these analyses, what do you see prevalent here? And that helps us get better insight and serve our clients better.
I want to understand at Odds Fitness, so how is it that you incorporate yourself with your client? What is it that you do and what is it that Dubai has in store?
Right. So
with respect to Odds Fitness.
Correct. So from whatever we have seen presently in the market, whether it was India or Dubai or any other place for that matter, everybody tries to create an ecosystem and then people who can vibe with that ecosystem, let's say if they have a certain revelation that, okay, I want to lose weight, or somebody's hit rock bottom that, okay, now I'm full-blown diabetes, now I need to comply with certain guidelines, rules, etc. They are supposed to pick themselves up and put them in that environment, fix it like a retreat or a very hard protocol or a very hard diet, and then, go take it from there. What we have studied is, because our strength lies in psychology and understanding people very individually, what we have seen over the last many years, and we have served so many clients, 7,000-8,000 probably, that usually ends up not lasting forever, right? And we want longevity with vanity. So if you have cracks, we are, let's say, the cement. So how Odds works is essentially we send personal trainers to your place.
Okay.
And instead of you going to a gym, which would need effort, right? You getting up, going there and performing that workout.
Discipline.
We eliminate that.
Yeah.
We send the trainer to you.
Yeah. This discipline trainers to us.
To stop the trainer from coming to you, you need to cancel it 12 hours before. It's happening.
Otherwise, you paid for it.
You've paid for it and it's happening. The guy is going to turn up. You're going to be training anyway.
Yeah.
So we remove that element.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to, let's say, your nutrition and your family habits, a lot of Marwaris and a lot of Jain people, they have certain restrictions. If they have diabetes, and you cannot be telling them, okay,
no, don't have carbs.
Eat only salads or meats for that.
Protein.
That would be
clean protein. Yeah.
That would be devastating. So what we try to do is we try and analyze what best they can do. And we have been very successful. We have been successful close to about 95% in eliminating lifestyle diseases. And of course, making all of them look very beautiful, very fit, healthy, etc. So we have a very different ecosystem and approach to it. Not to forget the fact that, if there's somebody who's supposed to train zone 2 cardio, and they don't like the treadmill, how do you get an individual like that to do something like this? So we've got something like aqua aerobics.
Correct.
Or
you
boxing.
have different tools.
So we have different tools, like I said.
And I hear you have physiotherapists on board. Yeah. So it's complete,
We have specialists for posture, for breathing, for meditation. Rehab, everything. And we want whatever's best for that client, and then we customize it for them. It would be very different for somebody like you. It would be very different for somebody like me. Male, female, age, risk factors, family, culture, exposure, all those things combined, environmental factors. It's highly, highly individualized.
Lovely.
So, touching upon that topic again, your expertise with obesity, diabetes, infertility, and mental health.
Sure.
This fourth one, very tricky.
Very.
Very tricky.
And so essential.
Very essential. What are your key methods to address something like that?
So, sorry, I'm just saying this. Hold on. Firstly, to start with, gut health and mental health are very intimately connected. We all think that serotonin is produced in our brain. That's not true.
It's in gut also.
90% of serotonin is produced in the gut, and then it's transmitted through neurotransmitters into your brain.
Into your brain.
Yeah. So if you are feeling depressed and eating a pack of chips or having a bar of chocolate, it's going to make you feel worse. At that time, you might get a rush of like feeling something, but 5 minutes later, you're going to have a crash and you're going to feel so terrible about yourself. As opposed to if you literally try it and eat a bowl of nuts or a salmon or, nuts and seeds. If you eat like nutrient-dense foods, which are really good for your gut health and serotonin production, you will feel a surge of happy hormones, and which is for a longer period of time.
I think what most people are confusing is confusing the good feeling that comes from something like a chocolate would be the dopamine that you get from the sugar.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a dopamine rush, which people just think, and it crashes literally within 5 minutes.
Right.
It's not even longer than that. As opposed to if you eat like greens and, nuts and seeds and a salmon or chicken or egg or beans if you're vegetarian. And if you eat that and you literally sit with yourself and just breathe in, do some box breathing and just talk to yourself for like 5 minutes, meditate, and then you see how you feel, is a completely different feeling.
Right.
And for a longer period of time.
Right.
So just being able to create happy hormones in your body with respect to nutrition, with respect to, working out, your physical activity is very important to have a enhanced and happy, state of like mental health.
Or I would also like to add certain other factors like, let's say, a purpose. Okay, which is a phenomenon, of course, but as a species, we highly thrive on having a sense of purpose as well. Like, let's say, when you serve so many clients and people, you get a sense of
course, accomplishment
as well as service. And, that's how even at Odds Fitness, where we are talking about helping so many individuals, our foundation is that we want to serve other individuals.
Exactly.
It's not so much about just the commercial aspects of it. That does help you grow and impact more lives, right? But our foundation is solely that.
Exactly.
So if anybody who wants to have great mental health, they would definitely need to have a sense of purpose. And it could be anything. It could be serving other people or just your family, anything for that matter.
I truly believe that eating clean is the highest level of self-respect, if you can control what you eat, you can control anything in this world. What you can put in if you can control what goes into your mouth, there's in our society we're so pressurized to eating sugars or have a drink now, but when you learn how to say no,
that's you also stand for yourself.
You stand up for yourself,
and you're a stronger individual than whoever is putting.
So that's mental health right there. It's mental health, and of course it's gut health. Why do we say that, I can feel it in my gut, why is it, there is a statement where you say that, I'm getting butterflies. When you're feeling conscious or something, you're getting butterflies because your gut is talking to you. You're not feeling good that time. Or when you're so certain about something, your gut is telling you, that's it. Go for it. You feel it here. You don't feel it here. You don't feel it here. You literally feel it in your gut.
The adrenal glands producing adrenaline.
Probably. Yeah. But it's literally your gut talking to you. It is your second brain.
Right.
And you should use it as that.
Right.
Because the more you use it and the more clear that sound gets, the louder it'll get.
Yeah. Also, I think very strongly what you look like is a huge representation of your identity.
Right.
When it comes to mental health, I think somebody and then they talk about body positivity, of course, but then it's very hard to be very, very body positive when you look obese.
Looking the best as per your BMI. Let's just put it that way.
Correct.
I'm not saying thin or I'm not, body shaming or anything, but it's very hard to, would you go to a dentist who's smoking outside his, who's just constantly smoking or has cavities? You wouldn't be able to believe in that person. So would you go to a nutrition coach or a dietitian or a nutritionist who's obese? Yeah.
If there's somebody who is obese, they would need a lot of mental strength to feel good about themselves, which is great if you can, but if you look at the larger population, most people get a little conscious about how they feel. And it's great for mental health awareness that you talk about body positivity.
Right.
But if you talk about it from a health standpoint, if you have huge amounts of visceral fat, by no means are you healthy. If you have subcutaneous fat, okay, good for you. A lot of women have that around their hips.
Of course.
That's fine.
That's fair.
But visceral fat is definitely no-brainer harmful. That's visceral fat. Yeah, exactly. Visceral fat for that matter. Right. Amazing. Thank you so much for coming here and contributing to our wealth of knowledge and our pool of knowledge. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. It was so great meeting you, and I hope to keep seeing you in Dubai.
You'll see a lot more of us.
I'm sure. I hope so. And when I come to Delhi, I'm definitely seeing you too.
Done.
For all my workouts.
Thank you.